Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Before we get started, there are a couple things to be aware of. Due to unforeseen circumstances, 3rd Ward City Council Representative Corey Hoffman will not be in attendance this evening. We ask that you keep Corey and his family in your thoughts and prayers during this extraordinarily difficult time and respect the family's privacy. All candidates in attendance tonight are running in nonpartisan races. Therefore, for the duration of the evening, candidates will not be identified by or associated with a political party. Each candidate will be given 3 minutes to introduce themselves and their platform, followed by questions submitted by the community. Each candidate will be given 1 minute to answer each question. Due to time constraints, there will be no rebuttals or redirects unless a candidate specifically calls out another candidate, in which case that candidate will be given the option of a 30-second response. After the questions, candidates will make closing remarks, followed by a brief time for clarifying questions from the community. During the clarifying questions section, please raise your hand and a microphone will be brought to you. Applause is permitted, but because this event is being recorded, please wait until the candidate has finished speaking before clapping to ensure candidate responses can be heard on the recording. Candidate literature will be available on the stage after the event. Thank you for attending the inaugural Delaware Candidate Town Hall presented by the Delaware Project. Please join me in welcoming your Mistress of Ceremonies for the evening, local superstar attorney, Jessica Rowland.
Thank you very much. That was very kind. So yes, I am superstar, Jessica Rowland. Never been called that before, but I like it. So I just want to start by saying I think we can all agree that the most important thing for elections is that the electorate is informed. And so I really appreciate that all the candidates are here tonight to answer questions so that we can continue to inform ourselves and make the best decision. So I think we've already gotten the directions from the robot voice. So we're going to start out with introductions. I believe that Mr. Ryder has the microphone, so you get 3 minutes to introduce yourself. I'm not going to keep strict time on that introduction, but moving forward when we do answer the questions for 1 minute each, I do ask that you try to keep to that so that we can get through as many questions as possible. And ideally that we'll be able then to take questions from the audience at the end. So Mr. Ryder, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Thank you for the introduction. It is an absolute pleasure to be here. These are fantastic events, and I'm glad it's being recorded. I assumed as much, but obviously people that can't be here, I'm glad that you're participating as well. I am Kevin Ryder. I'm running for City Council in the 4th Ward of Delaware. Practically speaking, it's the downtown area, and then everything east, out past Meyer towards Kroger. And then it's kind of a jigsaw puzzle by its schematic there, but ultimately, I'm trying to put 25 years of experience to work for Delaware. We have very real present problems, and those same problems are moving forward. I've got a PhD in industrial engineering. I was a former professor at West Virginia University, where I ran a multi-million-dollar laboratory with overseeing research studies and research students, graduate students. So I'm very familiar with finances, large budgets, grant proposals and renewals, and some hard decisions that have to get made with where that money gets spent and allocated. Certainly you're aware of financial issues that the city of Delaware has and is dealing with. I mainly look at that from what the capital improvement program and proposal looks like, especially over these next 5 years, and basically, I don't want to say ludicrous, but it's shocking that we're still looking at this operating deficit and not addressing the financial concerns of this ongoing issue. That is in fact why we're looking at potential tax levies and increases this coming year. And we can certainly talk about that later, I believe. But then my background is also then in just traffic engineering. I really have a passion for the traffic infrastructure and finances of the city and trying to make sure that we allocate money appropriately and really improve Delaware in all these areas, because that's the underlying foundation for everything else we want to do. Of Delaware improving and growing in a managed, sustainable way, preserving the historic nature of our great small town, and ensuring that we have money for these other projects and programs that we want to put forward. I think I'll just close there and leave for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Ryder. Mr. Backus?
Thank you very much. It is certainly a pleasure to be here this evening. I'm Ted Backus. I am running for re-election to the Delaware City School Board of Education. I've been a member of the Board of Education, finishing up my 16th year, so 4 terms on the board. I'm looking to do a 5th. I am a resident of the city for the past 28 years, married, my wife Susie. We have 3 adult children who all went through Delaware City schools, and now we're fortunate that we have grandchildren who in the next couple of years will begin coming through the school system as well. I work for the Ohio State University as a Chief Advancement Officer. My functions and roles there are really to oversee in the health science colleges, fundraising for those colleges to meet their initiatives, research projects, also working on alumni affairs and relations, but bigger than that is working on special projects and initiatives. So I've spent the last almost 11 and a half years working in higher education as well as working on the school board, so I've combined the two very well over those years. I'm also have been a member of the Delaware Area Career Center as a representative for the city. I'm currently the president of that board, and I've served on that for about 14 of the 16 years I've been on the city school board as well. So 3 major things that I really think focusing on as we move forward that I look at on my platform. One is growth. Mr. Ryder mentioned that as well in the city. We are a city that is very favorable. It's a city that people want to come to and want to make their home here, raise their children here. So keeping growth not happening is not an option probably. So we need as a school board to be working and being proactive on how we can manage the growth in the city. As a public school entity, we have to provide public education. We don't have a choice for that. And so we want to provide the best education we possibly can over the following years. So the real growth we're looking at is going to start probably hitting here within the next 5 years to 10 years. Is where we're going to really need to be looking at is how we maintain that and continue providing good education. The second component is really looking about a change in how we deliver education throughout the city. There's a model program that I've been involved with at the high school, a standard-based grading program that really works with our students in learning how to achieve their goals in mastery of skills. It's not the old way we learned where you just kind of go through the book and you get the lecture and you do a grade and you get it or you don't get it. It's a matter of these are broken out in skills of mastery and how do you master those. So we work from students from wherever they're at currently to get them to where they need to be and be successful when they graduate and be able to go into college or into the workforce or wherever they may choose to do that. Those are all really important components of what we do. The final piece of that is really looking about, it's a piece of growth, but it's an important part, and that's Dempsey Middle School. That is one of the largest middle schools in the state of Ohio. It's not something you want to be proud of. It is a large number of students and a diverse age group. And that's an issue we're going to have to look at over the next few years as we look at how we're going to redistrict and how we're going to work out the issues of growth, because we need to find a solution for that. I've been on the task force, facilities task force for the city schools for the entire time. I've been on the board, plus 2 years before I ran on the board and came aboard to work in the district. And that group I've asked to reconvene, and we will be reconvening that group in November. We will be doing a community forum to get feedback from our community members, and then that committee will go forth to looking and laying out a plan for the district over the next 10, 15 years where we will be. So it's been a pleasure serving these years, and I look forward to possibly doing that again for the district. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Haynes?
Well, good evening, and thank you everyone for coming out this evening. My name is Adam Haynes, and I am the second ward council person for here at the city of Delaware. I was appointed by council in February of this year to fill the remainder of Lisa Keller's term, who's in the audience tonight. Thank you for your service. And I'm running for a full term, as you can see, this November. I'm a social studies teacher at Delaware Hayes High School. I've been in the community for 13 years. I've been teaching for 13 years. My wife, Stephanie, who's in the audience, hi Stephanie, she's a 3rd grade teacher at Schultz. And we have a 3-year-old daughter, Harper, who just got enrolled into preschool for Delaware City Schools, and she'll be starting next year, which we're very excited about. So we're a Pacer family. I'm originally from Marion, Ohio. I attended Marion Harding High School, where I graduated and also was an Eagle Scout. I was raised by parents in the public service sector. My dad's a Vietnam veteran. He worked for the state of Ohio for over 25 years in the Department of Rehabilitation and Correction. My mom was a nurse for over 40 years. My sister is an intervention specialist at North Union. My wife's a teacher. So I live in a family, I was raised to serve the community, serve others more than yourself. And so I went to Bowling Green State University, graduated. Delaware was the school district that hired me, and I've been here ever since. My wife was at River Valley teaching, then she came down. So I guess why is it that I'm running here? Well, I'll start with this. At the beginning of the school year, I tell my students that I'm preparing them for the highest office of the land. And they're looking around and they said, well, what is that? And I said, the highest role is an informed citizen. Because without an informed citizenry, our democracy, our republic as we know it, is doomed to fail. And so that's what I teach them every single year. And I tell them that the best way to serve the community and the public is to get involved yourself. So when this opportunity came up, they said, you talk the talk, it's time to walk the walk. And I said, you're right. Delaware is at a crossroads. We're a fantastic community. We're one of the fastest growing counties in the state and in the country. And the city is growing at an exponential rate. And we're at a crossroads, not only with our schools, but also with our community. And I think Delaware is a good place, but I think that we can be even better. So the reasons why I'm running are to make my case, capital improvements, attainable housing, safe neighborhoods, and employment opportunities. The first one there, and I won't go too in-depth in all that, but the capital improvements, which I'm sure we're going to talk about, the roads. Raise your hand if you've driven on some of the roads and there's some potholes and some things. Okay. Now, why are roads so important? Well, if you're continually driving on a road that's not in good condition, that can damage your car, then how much you're going to have to pay to repair that tire. And specifically in the second ward, over 50% of our roads are in poor condition. Specifically, if we're talking about the areas that are west of Sandusky, east of Curtis, south of Parkland, or Park Street, and north of London. And I'm very proud that the city of Delaware is working hard in order to fix that. There's over a $450,000 grant that the city was able to earn to help with road improvements, which will start this upcoming spring. So I can talk a little bit more about that later, but I just want to say I'm very proud to be in this community. We chose this community because Delaware is a wonderful place to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gasaway.
Good evening. Don't mind me if I'm slipping around. My shoes currently have water in them. My daughter is a cheerleader for Dempsey, and I just sat through a downpour for the last 2 hours. But I also, in the spirit of having the school board here, want to just kind of take a moment. We had one of our 8th grade football players carted off the field on a stretcher just a little while ago, and as a mama, it shakes you up a little bit. So hopefully everybody, his parents and his family and himself are safe, and we get good news tonight. So with that, I'm Janelle Gasway. Thank you for having me. I am a 40-year resident of Delaware. I graduated from Delaware City Schools, Delaware Hayes, in 2001. I was the 3rd generation to graduate from Delaware schools. I have 2 children, currently in 7th and 8th grade at Dempsey, and they will be the 4th generation. So we've lived here for well over 100 years, if not longer. I am also a member of the Delaware City Schools Alumni Hall of Fame. I'm a graduate of Ohio Wesleyan. I have a degree in physical education with minors in accounting and women and gender studies. I'm also a past employee of Delaware City Schools. I worked as an educational assistant at Schultz, and then I spent time as a substitute at all of the elementary schools in Dempsey. So having experience in very many different lenses as a parent, as a graduate, in a teacher setting, working with the teachers, understanding what their jobs are, understanding what it is to be a parent in this climate of education, right? It's different, and I will tell you, it is different in the last 2 years than it was in the last 10 years. After COVID, it's kind of a reset in education, and it's a whole new ballgame. So Ted had talked about growth. We're all going to talk about growth because that is a huge factor that's going to hit our city, whether we like it or not. Professionally, I am a realtor. And so I am out there with people from this city, but I'm also out there working with people who are coming into our city. And we have a very, very hard time with the housing shortage. However, we also are growing as in terms of building and having new communities, people coming in. We're having a difference in multi-generational homes. We're having a difference in parents having kids a little bit older. And so a lot of that is changing. And so with that, we have to have a plan. That is one thing that very much so concerns me is, and Ted said that they're going to be reconvening here at the end of the year, and in my opinion, we are too late on that. My best friend has a student at Conger. He's sitting on the floor because there's not enough desks in his classroom for him to have an actual desk to sit at. We have class sizes. If you are a teacher or have experience in that, having a class size of 29 students and trying to give individual attention to each one of those is absolutely impossible. With that, we also are in my opinion, the greatest mental health crisis that our country, if not the world, has ever seen. And I think COVID exacerbated that. And so in that, we are having behaviors that are impeding our students' education, their own education, as well as impeding their peers' education. And we have to be able to pinpoint that, to peel the layers back, and to say, okay, what's causing that? Because every single one of our students deserves a free and appropriate public education. And every one of them that comes through our door is going to be different in some way. We have to meet their unique needs. I have the growth, I have addressing the behavior and making sure that we are raising and helping parents, right, to bring up productive citizens for our community. The first thing that I'm normally asked, and I'm legally not allowed to give an opinion on it, is what are the schools like? That's the first thing people want to know when they move here. It is a huge determining factor of whether or not they do come here and learn. So we have to make sure that our community is investing in our schools, keeping them great. I went to school here, I brought my kids back. I think it's a wonderful community, and it's a great school system. I think I was very well educated, but we have to keep that. The other thing that I really, really want to focus on, I know we are starting things with Bridge Ed. Ted and I last night were at the State of the Workplace address that Bridge Ed in Buckeye Valley and Delaware City Schools put on. We have some really great things that are starting with getting our workplace skills going, trades back in, tools back in our kids' hands. In the real estate side of things, the number of people who are moving here to work for Intel and all these places and Fortune 500 companies, they're coming here because we don't have enough tradesmen, tradeswomen that are able to handle that amount of work. And so we need to replenish that. And so that's a goal of mine, to get into the community, to bridge those gaps, and to use my connections to press on our state for funding and really be a big voice for everyone in our community, whether it's just the taxpayer or whether it's the parent, it's the student, it's the teachers. I want to use my voice and make sure that I'm advocating and listening to all different types of experiences to help continue Delaware on a great path.
Thank you. Ms. Griffith?
My apologies, as you can see, allergies are actively trying to kill me right now, so I'll do my best. First, I want to thank Chrysler Jeep Dodge for sponsoring tonight, the Delaware Historical Society for hosting, the Delaware Project for planning this event, and to Ms. Rowland for moderating. We're really appreciative of everybody coming together and putting this event together tonight. My name is Lindsay Griffith, and I am City Council candidate for Ward 1. I am a mother of 2 Delaware City school children. I am the wife of 20 years of Ken over there, and I have to give a little shout out. Today is his birthday, and he gets to spend his birthday campaigning with me to devoted husband. He's a wonderful person. I am a small business owner of 15 years. I own 3 different businesses. I'm a healthcare advocate and I support families through the birthing year. And I am currently a student midwife. My husband grew up in Delaware, and so when we had children, we decided that Delaware was going to be our children's hometown. And so we moved here in 2015. And my platform, the reason I'm running is because of smart, sustainable development. The development we have in Delaware, we are growing astronomically, as everybody has already talked about. But unfortunately, despite our comprehensive plan that we have, which is a great roadmap, our development has been a little out of control. And in Delaware, we can have a comprehensive plan where our development serves our community, it expands our tax base, and it funds our schools. It is possible, we can make it happen, and that is why I want to be on city council. As a small business owner, I also believe in supporting and helping develop small businesses, and I want to see robust economic development in Delaware. That is something, we are one of the richest counties in the state. We need to have that money coming back into this community, and we need to see economic investment in our community. And finally, because I am a mother, I'm very interested in family-friendly programming. I want my children to want to continue to live here. I want your children to want to continue to live here. So I want to make Delaware a wonderful place for everybody to live. I want to thank you for the opportunity to serve my neighbors and my community, and thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you. Mr. Jarvis?
Well, thank you, everybody that had it. She stole my thunder. And thank you all for showing up, because without you being here to kind of like be a balancing act for what we think we need to do versus what the people are asking for, we want to have, as straight of a shot. I'll keep it simple. I'm Emmett Jarvis. I'm from here originally. Me and my wife both are, Michelle Jarvis. I entered the Army after high school as an infantryman, did the GWAT circle, the Global War on Terrorism circuit, for the next 18 years and 10 months before I was medically retired due to wounds sustained in combat and training. When we thought about where to come back to, all the places we had been all over the country, only one place stuck in our head, and that's home. No place like home. So we brought our family back here, moved back here to raise our family. Our daughter graduated high school last year. She's in the audience. And my son is currently a sophomore. And just real simply, the things that I'm going to focus on tonight and as I run, and hopefully if I'm elected, or when I'm elected, right, will be transparency from the board to the parents to the students. Everybody understands what's expected from the top to the bottom and bottom to top. Fiscal responsibility, where everybody up here is going to hammer finances because it's important. Can't really get anywhere without them. Bullying prevention is kind of a big deal. What I saw when I was a kid versus what my kids see now, big difference, and kind of feel like it needs to be addressed. I want to support educators. I think they all volunteered to do a job. They took on a bunch of debt so that they could teach the next brightest generation. That generation needs to take us forward into the future. And I feel like we owe educators everything we have, to be able to give them the tools and resources to be able to do that. And then creative solutions. We can be stuck in a box or we can get out of it. What I'll bring to the school board is just a different approach. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Ms. Joyner?
Good afternoon. Thank you for the invitation. I am Leslie Joyner, and I am running for 2nd Ward. I am the mother of 2 adult children, and I have 2 grandchildren, and I have been born and raised here all of my life. I moved away for about maybe 10 years, but still coming here 2 or 3 times a week, so I don't feel like I've gone. And being born and raised here, I am just very concerned about our neighborhood, our infrastructures, our road. My platform that I'm really focusing on is, of course, our infrastructure, affordable housing, particularly with handicap. Some of you know, some of you don't know, I am a mother of a daughter who has handicap abilities that are limiting her because of her handicap. We have looking for handicap housing for quite some time. It was a very frustrating thing to do in the city of Delaware because of how limited it is, not only the handicap apartments as well, but even just homes in general. It was very frustrating to see that in this day and age that we are having the challenges that we are. And I just think that we need more of that, and just affordable housing in general. So that is something that I would like to see change. I had the honor of working with a development corporation called Miracit years ago. It was a development arm of my church. I am also a minister at one of our local assemblies, Agape International Cathedral. So service is who I am. I love to serve in any capacity. I love serving my neighborhood and our community. And I personally just really want to be a voice for those who feel like they have no voice. We have one of the greatest cities in the country. We also have, even in our ward, it's an awesome ward, but the difference between the two, you got one side of the ward who is really prospering and doing extremely well, and then you have another side that is struggling really bad. So, you know, my goal, my heart, my passion is to see, just in general, the whole ward prosper. I feel like if the whole ward is prospering, moving forward, it aids in the progression and the prosperity of the whole city. So I want to be an advocate for mental health issues concerning some of the children that are in a particular area of the second ward, but not just them, every child, every adult. Everybody is going through something different. You may not show, you know, personally on the outside, but you just don't know what people are dealing with. And I just think if we have mental health, more mental health facilities that are available and affordable, that would be a big assistance. I have been working with the NAMI organization, and we have started a program. And so far it's going really well, and it's just surprising to see some of the things that the children and the adults that are dealing with, and who really do not have a place to go, the way that they can really feel comfortable enough to allow themselves the opportunity to be able to just feel safe. And that is something that I want to provide for the whole ward. But again, I want to just really make sure that the whole ward is prospering, that we are all doing well, that we are all safe. You know, there's a lot going on with the safety of the neighborhoods. We want to make sure that every area of our ward, every area of our city is safe for anybody. This to be comfortable, to be safe, knowing that the law enforcement, with them building a bond and a connection to where people feel safe to be able to just be themselves. So I just really want to, again, I love this city. My passion is for serving. I want to, again, serve this community. I want to be able to be a voice for those who feel like they don't have a voice. And I also just want to enjoy being part of this ward that I love so much.
Thank you. Ms. Rodenborg?
Good evening, I'm Heather Rodenberg, and I'm running for school board. And a little bit about myself. My wife and I live here in Delaware. We both live in the city of Delaware. We have a 3-year-old who, I'm sure Adam understands this, that she's 3 going on 13 right now. She's currently enrolled at Ohio Wesleyan, the preschool program there, but actually yesterday signed her up for preschool with Delaware City Schools. So we're invested in our community because we live here and work here. I work for Ohio Health. I'm ordained clergy in the United Church of Christ and serve full-time as a chaplain. I have a Master's of Divinity degree and am board certified through the Association of Professional Chaplains. And I'm also working, because running for school board, having a 3-year-old, the career that I work in, I'm also working on another master's degree and currently working on my master's in social work. So I would like to do individual family counseling. As Janelle had mentioned, mental health is a big issue. The main things that I'm concerned about is definitely when it comes to safety, not just physical safety, but also emotional safety. Our students and staff have been through a lot in the last few years with COVID. I work in healthcare. It was crazy. Teachers, bless you, that worked through COVID. I know we lost a lot of teachers in that time because it was it's stressful. It was stressful on everybody. And it has taken a toll on everybody. And I think that's important that we really address some of that, because the schools, their kids are having a hard time. I've had many conversations with students who have experienced bullying because of racism, because of homophobia, whatever the case may be. And kids should feel safe when they go to school. Same thing with the teachers. They should also feel safe and feel supported and have somebody to talk to. So that's one of my main issues, is around safety. As everybody else has said, funding. We need to really work on funding our schools because we are growing fast as a community. Our schools are running in the black right now at about $1.5 million. That's not enough to sustain us though, especially as our community continues to grow. We have developments that are going in that are going to bring more families into our community and into the schools that are already overcrowded, to teachers that already are underpaid and overworked. So it's important that we work with state and local leaders. There are state leaders that make big decisions, but there are also local leaders on city council that make decisions that affect our schools. One of the things right now, if you're paying attention to city council, is the TIFs that are being issued by the city that takes 30% of the proposed property taxes that we would be getting from those residents moving into these developments and gives that to the city to build roads. An accountant took a look at the numbers, shared it with me. Over 11 years, it'll take just over $54 million from our school system. That's a lot of money right now. So we need to really work with the city council on that and finding ways. What are ways can we can be unique when it comes to funding, and look at other cities that are able to issue TIFs that don't affect school systems. So that's why I'm here, and I want to represent you guys. I'm not a politician. There are days I wonder, why am I doing this? But then I have conversations with parents and with kids and the things that are going on, and I'm just like, okay, I will be that voice, because there are kids and parents who are afraid to speak up, and that's just who I am. I've been ingrained from a young age to be someone who speaks up for justice. I was the first in my family to go to college and get a bachelor's degree and go on to get a master's degree, so I know what it's like to fight for the things that you need. And I want to do that for our families here in Delaware. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Nana?
Be respectful of everybody's time. I appreciate y'all coming down. We're not through intros. We're already 40 minutes in, so I'm going to go quick. My name is Dustin Nana, and I'm running for First Ward City Council. I have lived in Delaware, Ohio when my family moved me here at a very young age, so I've been here for over 20 years. I went to Hayes High School and graduated in 2012. Afterwards, I quickly decided that I was a political nerd and wanted to get involved in local politics. So I actually ran for city council one time before in 2017. I ran for at-large city council. I was far too young. I had no idea what I was doing. But I still did very well, and I didn't let it discourage me that I didn't win a seat, and I stayed involved. So subsequently, I was appointed to the steering committee in 2018, and then after that, I served on the Board of Zoning Appeals, and I currently serve on Planning Commission as an at-large representative. So I feel I have a breadth of knowledge to draw from when it comes to issues that are facing our city. I'll tell you a little bit more about myself personally. So I work for an IT company called Status Solutions. We're a life safety company. We're in a lot of long-term care facilities and other government facilities like schools. It's a very fulfilling job. And before that, I actually worked with folks with developmental disabilities for about 6 years right here in Delaware. So Delaware is my home. I love Delaware. There's no place I'd rather be. I know we're always on those lists for awards of best place in Ohio, but I truly think this is the best place on earth. And I never want to leave. So running for city council is kind of my small way of giving back to Delaware because it has given me so much. I'll talk very briefly about the issues. I think a lot of folks, almost everybody touched on it. Right now, we're experiencing unprecedented growth in Delaware. We've been the fastest growing county ever since I can remember or was old enough to pay attention. and I don't think it's gonna slow down anytime soon. So what it's important that we do, especially as a city council, is be on top of that development and interface with developers and make sure we extract a lot of things from them, like completing our thoroughfare plan with, following our comprehensive plan, making sure that we get green space out of them. The first plan that a developer puts forward is never the best plan. They're always trying to get the most out of us and the best plan for them. They're trying to move the Overton window. It's our job as a city council to go out into the community, interface with residents that are already living in Delaware near these developments, and figure out what they want and take that back to the developer and kind of negotiate and make sure that the things that we bring into Delaware are palatable to the people that are here. Another big issue facing Delaware right now is finances. We're going to be in the black here very soon if something doesn't change. So City Council is currently proposing a temporary tax increase for 5 years, and then you'll probably see that on the ballot in spring next year on the primary. Now, originally they had proposed a permanent tax increase, and I personally fought very hard against that. And then they opened a public comment period, and everybody in the city fought hard against it too through public comment. So I'm thankful that they are now proposing a 5-year increase. Our city engineer has told us that will allow us to catch up on a lot of the places we are deficient. Somebody down there mentioned roads. Close to a little over 40% of our roads are in what they consider poor condition. And our engineer is confident that if the 5-year tax increase is passed, that we'll be able to make a dent in it. But guess what? If you pass the 5-year tax increase and the city doesn't spend the money wisely, you don't have to renew it again. So I thought it was important that we didn't put a blank check in City Council's hands, and that we, made sure that they were accountable to us, the citizens. The third reason I'm running is I don't have a personal axe to grind or any personal ideologies that I want to bring to City Council. My opinion is, as a City Council member, my job is to be a sounding board for my residents, especially a ward rep. So I want to interface with the community, figure out what they want, and then bring those needs and concerns to City Council. I don't have, like I said, I don't have any personal axe to grind or any reason why I'm running other than I love Delaware, and I want this city to thrive, and I want people to feel like they're well represented. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Queen?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for being here, and thank you for your time. My name is Kimberly Green Weiss, and similar to Heather, I also work for Ohio Health. I'm Director of System Imaging there. I've been there for 35 years. I don't have any school board experience, although prior to running for school board, I spent the last 8 years being on the AHRA Board of Directors, where I spent 3 years as president-elect, president, and immediate past president. And prior to that, I was on the Radiology Administrator Certification Commission for 7 years. A lot of that time was focused on helping to grow and develop imaging professionals and future imaging leaders, and being on those 2 different boards for 15 years, I believe gives me a unique experience that I can bring to being potentially on the school board and helping to grow and develop students for our community, and to help support our teachers and our faculty, and work with board members if elected to the board of directors for the city. My motivation for wanting to be on the school board is very simple. I want to help grow and develop our future students to be successful members of the community. I also want to help make sure that we can support our teachers and our faculty in bringing the resources that they need to help them be successful in their jobs. Thank you.
Excuse me. Before I start my remarks, I want to say thank you to everyone for coming out tonight. Thank you to the Delaware Project, our sponsors, everyone that put this on. One of the most important things about our democracy is having leaders that are accountable to their constituents, that are direct and involved with their communities. I'm running for City Council not because I have a wealth of a career and experience behind me, but because we live in the fastest growing county in the state, the richest county in the state. And if you look at our median age, it's 37 years old. Our leadership at the county commissioner level, as well as council, has always reflected that. And I think it's important that as our county and city continues to change in demographics, change, and as we're growing, that we have leaders on council that also represent that change. I was raised in a mixed family with 6 kids by 2 parents. Me and my younger brother are adopted. My other siblings come from previous marriages of both my parents. My dad was a drill sergeant who was in the Army for 9 years. My mother was, and still is, a mom at heart. These people instilled values in me that caused me to want to go into public service. Just like Dustin, I was that political geek. I was that cousin that loved the presidents and always had all the nerdy books. And that developed into me getting interested and involved in campaigns since I was 13 years old. I'm originally from Marysville, Ohio, so not too far from here. My husband, Dylan, up here in the front row, he grew up in Heath, right next to Newark. And we both grew up in our communities, knowing we were different, not seeing representation of who we were. And we didn't feel at home. We didn't feel accepted. We didn't feel loved. And what made us both fall in love with Delaware was that feeling. Everyone here, especially in the 4th Ward, is welcoming, is loving. Look at our local businesses and how they have communications and relationships with our community. On council, I want to be that interface with the public as well. When you get to the last point here, I'm repeating a lot of points we've all talked about. But I'm running because, first of all, we need a younger generation with fresh perspectives on the table as we grow. We need to look at our growth. We need to grow responsibly. We need to look at affordable housing. We need to support our local business. And as we're growing, we need to make sure that the burden is not put on current residents. Developers, people moving into our community have to take that responsibility. And on council, I am more than happy to make sure that everyone feels welcomed, has someone that they can communicate with and trust. And honestly, I'm not doing this because it's fun. I'm 20 years old. I'm not running because I want to give up my weekends, because I want to give up frat parties or whatever. I'm running because when I heard the incumbent wasn't running again, I looked around and I begged some friends, I'll help you run. No one stepped up at that time, and so I was the first candidate in the county to pull my petitions. I've been running the longest here because I care, and someone needs to step up to the table to be a common sense leader for Delaware. So I hope to have your support. Thank you to all my fellow candidates for being here tonight. I'm really happy that we can all be here to be transparent with Delaware.
Thank you, and thank you all candidates.